All right, welcome aboard, everyone. It's the Donovan Live postgame show on this Tuesday evening, first day of spring. I'm Dave DiNatale with Jim Donovan. The show tonight was a little bit of everything on Donovan Live, from comedy to wedding cakes to Beatles. I mean, you were all over the place, and I was the first thing.
Just a skosh of news.
Yeah, just a little news, just a few morsels of news to keep you coming back for more.
Right.
So, I mean, we were talking about coming on the air, and the most random thing. One day we'll have to, if we ever do a sports movie challenge on this show or something, we talk about Seabiscuit. It was made 15 years ago. And I still think it's in the horse racing movies. I think it's, you could put Black Stallion, Secretariat.
Secretariat with Diane Lane
was good.
It's great.
There are a few horse racing movies, but Seabiscuit is to me separates it.
I put Seabiscuit, the movie, in there with Hoosiers. Remember the Titans?
Yes.
Rudy. Yeah, Rudy. Yeah, I just thought it was a phenomenal movie. I just thought it was great movie, great story. I mean, how America became captivated with the horse.
There's your director, Gary Ross.
Yeah.
Gary Ross, great director. He wrote the movie Big. Oh. And he did Pleasantville. With Tobey Maguire a few years before. So he has Tobey Maguire come back to play Red Pollard.
Now, the great scene to me is, and the build-up is, of course, they want the match race against War Admiral.
Yes.
But remember, Seabiscuit had been beaten, right?
In the race before.
Yeah, and so the people, the owners of War Admiral, are saying, "Hey, come on, why would we dabble with that?" Yeah. And then he, at least according to the movie, and I think it's pretty close to fact, right? He kind of took them on a barnstorming tour and gathered these crowds to put pressure on the owners of War Admiral to have the match race.
There are your three big stars of that movie. Tobey Maguire on the far left.
Right.
Oscar winner Chris Cooper, who had just gotten the Academy Award earlier in the year. He's in the center, plays the trainer. And then Oscar winner Jeff Bridges on the far right.
Now, Gary Stevens actually plays himself in the movie.
He plays George Wolfe, the Wolf.
Yeah.
And he jockeys, and then Chris McCarron, who's also a Kentucky Derby winner.
From Boston. Isn't Chris McCarron from Boston?
He was Tobey Maguire's riding stand-in. For some of those far shots.
The great scene to me is when they do have the match race and how beautifully it was cut.
Yes.
Okay, and produced. And how right up until the start, and they used the bell from Baltimore, the Baltimore Fire Department, because the race was at Pimlico, right?
Yeah.
And as soon as they hit that bell and the two horses go off, they cut to still pictures.
Yeah, and
black and white
radio,
still pictures.
and the radio call.
And the radio call. Yeah. And that's why I always say, everybody, you go radio.
That's exactly right.
And you do that, and you'll walk really the right path in life. And I'd like to take it a step further than Seabiscuit here tonight. But the radio call is great.
Yeah.
But then when they finally let Seabiscuit go, because he brings him back.
Yes.
Because that's what Seabiscuit did. And he liked to be challenged.
Yep.
And then when Chris Cooper's on the rail and goes, "Let him go! Turn him loose!" That is fantastic.
Yeah.
That is a great scene. And he is
William
fantastic.
H. Macy in
Tick-tock.
Tick-tock McLaughlin, Clocker's Corner. I mean, in the days before sports talk, you had this guy sitting up in his little perch at I think it was Santa Anita racetrack, and just delivering pot shots on everybody.
He was hysterical in the movie. I got a scoop, a double scoop with hot fudge all over it. Now, none of this has anything to do with the Donovan Live show.
I promise. But we wanted to talk about Seabiscuit.
It's a great movie.
If you've never seen it, you should see it. It's fantastic.
Did you like Secretariat?
I did. I did. It wasn't as good. I think part of the problem is it came like 3 years, I think, after Seabiscuit.
Yeah.
I almost wish it was a few years later. But Diane Lane was so good in the movie, and she, to me, is such a great actress. It didn't matter. It was still an enjoyable movie. But to me, Seabiscuit was the superior of the two.
Yeah.
All right. We could talk horse racing movies all night, and I think it would be an entertaining show, but that's not what we're here for. We have other things to do tonight. First and foremost, let's go back to the Q last night. Cavs victorious in the return of Kevin Love. 18 points in his time out there. I thought he looked good. I thought
I did too, 18.7 rebounds.
Yeah.
I thought he was good. He's been out 7 weeks. I thought he looked good. I think they looked better with him, obviously. Yeah. I mean, they still have too many guys wearing suits sitting at the end of the bench. But LeBron's amazing. Yeah. He really is. 40 points in the game, triple-double, 16th of the year, 71st of his career. But he's played every game this year. He's played in every game. Remember last year? I mean, he did. And really, in the last couple of years, he'd always have the bad back, and he would have to take time off. And last year, that was the big hullabaloo, that he was taking too much time off, and that when the Cavs would go to these visiting cities and people would sell out the game because they wanted to see LeBron
James,
but he would take a night off, it was a big problem, and they changed the scheduling in the NBA to give them less back-to-backs, But at 33, he's been in every game this year.
And he is... You sit there and you go, when's he going to get to his peak? It's still amazing to me, Jimmy. I mean, we're now in the stretch run of the season, and he's playing his best basketball. And I mean, after games, he's like, "Yeah, I'm good. I'm taking care of myself. I'm taking care of my body. I'm good."
Yeah.
And I think he had kind of gotten into a little bit of a rut when the Cavs had gotten into a little bit of a rut there pre-trade deadline.
Oh yeah.
And obviously, the Cavs haven't been that consistent or that much more consistent since the deadline passed with the injuries and everything. But his play has picked up since the deadline, no question.
Oh, yeah, no question about it. I think he was invigorated when he got the opportunity to get these young players into the lineup and on the roster, and kind of then put a mental note in his mind, okay, this is what this is going to look like. But imagine what it's going to look like when Tristan Thompson is back and when Kevin Love is back, and we're kind of firing on all...
Larry Nance is back.
Yeah, and we're firing on all cylinders with 12 to play right now before the playoffs and a big game tomorrow night. That's an interesting game tomorrow night. The Cavs can send a message to Toronto. The old, the line that the guy uses on College Game Day, the coach, when he says, "Not so fast, my friend."
No, I almost said Bino Cook. Lee Corso.
Lee Corso.
Not so fast,
Not so fast, Toronto, that we're going to, take the Eastern Conference away from us.
Remember when the Cavs last April went into Boston before the playoffs and just, like, we were all like, oh, what's going to happen? And they just blew them out. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I just wonder if, that switch that you talk about, we talk about, might start to get flipped in these Raptors games. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, and the thing is, I don't know if Toronto gets enough credit for what they are. They're over 50 wins.
Right.
I mean, they're having a great year. But we've been down this road with them. I mean, you got to remember a couple of years ago, the Cavs went into the Eastern Conference Final and didn't have home court advantage against them and took them out in 5, didn't they?
Yeah.
In that series?
I mean,
I know the year before it went 6, but I mean, it was 5 here.
Yeah. I mean, every year you hear about the Raptors are new and improved, and it's like, well, okay, but let's see how they do when the pressure's really on. I don't know. I'm very curious about that. The other thing that I loved from last night was LeBron saluting Joe Thomas. That was pretty awesome.
Well, Joe, I was talking with Joe today, and he was amazed. He said it yesterday was probably the greatest day of his life.
Really?
Yeah. He said that to me today. He said the whole retirement ceremony, the fact that his kids were with him at the ceremony, his wife is pregnant with their 4th child, and he's kind of declared now that he's going to be, a much more at-home dad than football has allowed him to be. And so that was the great part and the great ceremony, and really the reaction everybody got from his speech and how he reacted to the retirement ceremony, that was in Berea. But then to have it topped off by LeBron recognizing him and coming over to him and giving him a big hug at courtside at the Q. And then after the game, LeBron, commenting on him in the postgame. This is after the Cavs win, and he's had a triple-double, and he's talking more about Joe Thomas going into the Hall of Fame
down the road in Canton. And it was funny because Joe had just mentioned in his retirement, he's like, boy, I've been hearing from all kinds of people, and it's meant so much, former teammates and such. He goes, LeBron James. He goes, when you're the greatest, when the GOAT, singles you out, that's when you've done something. And I thought that was a really great image to see. These two 21st century Cleveland sports icons, and people say, "Oh, come on, Dino." I mean, Joe. Well, again, people will scoff at that. I mean, Joe Thomas is going to be a Hall of Famer. LeBron James is going to be a Hall of Famer. You don't have that happen every day, and it's just it was so cool to see the two of them embrace like that. And, you know, it brings me to a thought on another sport, Jimmy. As the Indians continue their preparations for the upcoming season, they'll be back in action tomorrow night. We found out earlier this week, Jose Altuve of the Astros is going to get a 5-year, $150 million contract.
He's going to make about $30 million a year.
Right. Well, batten down the hatches, because, you know, I would imagine that's what it's going to cost if the Indians want to keep Francisco Lindor long-term beyond. I mean, they have him under control through his arbitration now, but, you know, when we get past the arbitration point and to when, you know, he is eligible for free agency, those are the kinds of dollars we're going to start to be talking about for a guy like Francisco.
Well, there'd be a little less under the Christmas tree for the Dolans,
yes.
Okay? Because they're going to have to put their money in the Christmas club. I remember my dad and mom used to have a Christmas club account that they would put the money in and hopefully go buy the gifts and not touch it. So they're not going to be able to touch it.
No.
He's a must-keep player.
Yes.
If you don't keep a player like that, you've defeated everything that your organization has reached in the last, what would you say, 7 years or so? And the ability to rebuild that minor league system, which was shooting blanks there for a while.
For like a decade.
And they were missing in drafts, and they weren't picking the right players. And, I mean, this kid is the one I think they really put their chips on.
Yep.
And everybody followed him throughout every stage of his minor league career. A lot of us saying, hey, move him up a level. Get him up, get him up.
I want to see him up
here.
Right.
And they were a little bit slow. They pumped the brakes on him for contractual reasons and for time served in Major League Baseball. And I understand that, but he is the face of the franchise. There's no doubt about that right now. It's not Kluber. It's not Brantley. It's not
Ramirez.
Kipnis. And, you know, I don't think it's not Ramirez. Okay, this is their guy.
Yeah.
They drafted him. They've gotten
nurtured him. Everything. Yep.
So you have to be ready to pay him.
Well, and
if that's the going rate, you cannot lose players like that.
No.
Or that place will be empty again.
Well, and you can't neglect him at some point, you know, I think the Indians could wait if they wanted to, I think till 2020 or 2021. But at some point, if he puts up another high caliber all-star type year, I mean, at some point you've got to do. I mean, I remember the Cardinals did it after it might have been the rookie year of Albert Pujols. They gave him that huge contract and just said, hey, he's going to be our guy for the next decade. And he was until he went to the Angels. I just think at some point you've got to put your stake in the ground and say, this is our guy for the long term.
This is
I mean, the Indians didn't go after Jay Bruce in the offseason. They, I think smartly so, didn't re-sign Carlos Santana for the money that he got from Philadelphia. And I truly do believe, Jimmy, part of the reason was they were saving some money for this Lindor contract.
Well,
I do believe that.
Yeah. Well, I hope so, because it's going to take that. And you can't lose a player like this. I mean, I don't think he is where we would expect him to be in greatness yet. I mean, I think he
still has another level. Yeah,
he's got another level,
yeah.
And then he's got to stay at that level.
Yes.
Okay, that will be the next step. But there's going to be a point where he's going to say, "Okay, I'm here.
Right
now, I need to be paid here." And I'm sure the Indians kind of swallowed hard when they watched the Houston signing. The other thing is, it tells you that the Astros. They are ready to roll.
Yes,
they are. And they learned.
They're not the Florida Marlins and the Miami Marlins, man.
And I'm going to tell you, I don't think they're the Cubs either.
No.
Because I think the Cubs definitely had a World Series hangover.
Yep.
I really do. There's no doubt about it. By the time the Cubs woke up, they were way behind in the division, and then they came back, and they had to use everything they had just to get into the playoffs, and then they burned out by the time they played the Dodgers in the National League Championship Series. They had a heck of a time getting through Washington.
Right.
Okay? But I don't think the Astros are like that. I think they are young. Yeah. I think they are good. And I think that they reloaded again. Yeah. And I think they've got Altuve signed now. Correa will get taken care of at some point. They've got Verlander.
I was going to say Verlander in that
the fountain of youth.
In that stacked rotation.
They have Keuchel. They have all those guys. Yep. I think that they are. I think they probably looked at what happened to the Cubs last year and said, you know what? We're not going to take a year off like Chicago did. We want to win it again.
Right.
And they're going to have to be great because I think, Dino, there are 4 super teams in the American League. Houston.
Yes.
The Yankees.
Yes.
Us.
Yes.
The Red Sox.
Yes.
And I don't know about Boston, but I'll put them in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
I don't want my family to disown me.
Right, exactly. But I mean, the Red Sox and the Yankees. Yeah, we'd like to keep you. It's St. Patrick's season. We want to keep everybody happy.
I think there are 4 super teams.
I do too. I
don't think there are 4 super teams in the National League.
I would say maybe 2.
Yeah.
Maybe 2.
Yeah. I just don't see it. So I think if you can get through the American League, the grinder of that, I mean, you're going to be the favorite in the World Series. And I think the Indians can be right there with them, but it's going to take what the Indians are great at, and that's pitching.
Yeah, and it goes to show, you think about it, we've had some time since October, since the playoffs. The fact that the Indians went, and I know Lindor hit the grand slam in Game 2, but the fact that, or it was Game 1 or Game 2 now, I can't even remember, Game 2. But the fact that the Indians got to 5 games, and with Corey Kluber injured, and Lindor largely ineffective, and Ramirez almost totally ineffective, the 2 best position players and their best pitcher, if everybody had been playing healthy and up to standard, again, it goes to show you how much differently this team, we saw in 2016 how much differently things can go with the Indians. Yeah. That's how good they are.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting night tomorrow night, and I'm going to shill for Sports Time Ohio. Yeah. They have the game tomorrow night against the Royals. It's their last Cactus League game before they break camp and do the regular season up in Seattle. But Michael Brantley plays tomorrow night. Yeah. Okay, he's scheduled to play 3-4 innings out in the outfield. Yes. He is hitting, but this is his first major league game.
Yes.
He's been kind of banging around the minor league games, and he's just eating up that pitching there. But we'll see him now in the major league games. The question is, what happens next week? Does he break camp with them?
Right.
Is he close enough to do that?
And how does
they afford to do that?
And how does his body respond? When he plays through, even 4 innings in a Cactus League game, how does he feel the next day? How's the ankle feel? How's the body feel? Can he go game to game, at bat to at bat with no physical limitations? Right. I'm with you. Yeah. I would probably err on the caution side of things.
And I think they can.
A little bit more, and I think they can because of the Zimmer factor. Right. You've got Chisenhall, you've got Zimmer. That's why they went out and got Rajai Davis.
Who I love.
Yes, we all love Rajai. Yeah. We all love Rajai.
Yeah. Great teammate.
Oh, absolutely.
Great player. Great teammate, though.
I truly think they've got to find a spot for him on the 25. I think his speed, I think that was something that was missing last year. His speed and his ability to steal bases.
Oh, yeah. You know what I'm surprised at, though, that Geyer is having such a tough time with his wrist.
Yeah, he can't.
He's had a setback.
He can't stay healthy.
Yeah, I mean, and he's a good player for them. He does a lot of things. He's the kind of player Francona loves, too, because you can do so much with him. Now, Urshela has a tight hamstring.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, hamstring tightness. I'm sorry, a little twitch.
Doug Deacon always says, in the 4th preseason game, watch all the guys that come up with tight hamstrings, because then they get put on IR and they get kept around.
That's right.
They don't get exposed, for someone to pick up in the last call. So I don't know if Urshela really has a tight hamstring, but I know they've got a tricky decision in the infield with Gonzalez and those guys.
That's going to be who they break camp with is going to be real interesting. But I wanted to bring up the Lindor Altuve factor, because I think that's going to be something to watch as we go. Frankie's the kind of guy that seems like he can block a lot of that out, but I'm still curious to see how, if negotiations are taking place at all, or if they kind of, now that there's this benchmark in place, if they kind of get started as we get into the year.
Will there be another negotiation in Major League Baseball that will come close to that? Of course, now Bryce Harper will be at the end of the year.
Yeah, he'll be at the end of the year. I don't think, not that I know.
Say the Nationals, someone just put it this way, say the Nationals and Yankees end up in the World Series, and some people say that, although Washington's never won a playoff series. Some people say, hey, if they get into the series, whoever wins the series will get Bryce Harper the next year, because he'll be a free agent at the end of the year.
Imagine you put Bryce Harper
into the Yankee lineup?
Where would it,
Oh, that's unbelievable. Hey, I want to end with this. Yes. You talked about what a great scene that was last night with LeBron and Joe Thomas. Okay, and it was. Those are 2 Hall of Famers. So there was one night in Boston.
Yes.
On WBZ TV with a sportscaster who was really a great guy, Bob Lobel, who was really the king of sportscasters back in Boston for a long time. He's from Apple Creek, Ohio.
Oh.
He's from Apple Creek, Ohio. But anyway, he had a Sunday night sports show like we have here with Super Dave Chudowski. How about this sports show on one Sunday night on WBZ TV? The guests were Bobby Orr,
representing the Bruins.
Ted Williams.
Oh, representing the Red Sox.
Larry Bird.
And Larry Bird.
Now, at that point, the Patriots weren't good.
No, the Patriots didn't have. There wasn't a legendary New England Patriot player at that point. That is amazing.
You can watch the show on YouTube.
That is amazing. I mean, I think now the equivalent would probably be, LeBron James, Joe Thomas, and Jim Thome. Don't you think?
Yeah, that would be,
yeah.
But how about that show?
Bobby
Orr, Larry Bird, and Ted Williams.
And Ted, the splendid Splinter.
Unbelievable show. Yeah.
That would be awesome. Herb's coming back up here in a second. Before we get done, Saquon Barkley did not go through any drills today. The Penn State running back we continue to make our way to the draft. I wonder, and no running backs coaches went to watch him at his pro day. It sounds like everybody really was, he didn't want to do anything because of his combine performance. But I wonder, Jimmy, if, we're getting some clues now, just from free agency now that's been about a week, about the Browns' direction with that fourth pick. If I don't think they're going to take Barkley. I really don't.
I don't either.
I think it's either a quarterback at 1 and trade down out of 4, or a quarterback at 1 and Fitzpatrick or Chubb, the two best defensive players.
I think you can throw the kid from Ohio State in.
Oh, yeah,
very
Denzel
high
Ward.
on Denzel
Yeah, Denzel Ward.
Very,
That's
very
right.
high on.
Yeah.
I think a little higher on Ward than
Minka.
Fitzpatrick.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. Whereas Fitzpatrick can do a lot of things, he can play corner, he can play nickel, and he can play safety. Okay. And he does. He's not a jack of all trades and a master of none. He's really good. Okay.
Yeah.
But remember now, they committed to Demarius Randall, and he will go play safety.
Yeah.
And Peppers presumably will be the other safety. They want a true corner. And Ward is a true corner with great speed.
Yeah.
And I think they really like Ward a great deal.
Yeah.
But I am going to tell you this, Dino. This is going to be important. If you take the quarterback at number 1 and commit to not playing him, wherever that next pick is, if they stay at 4 and pick at 4, or if they trade down, and accumulate picks, but at some point make a pick, and hopefully not that far down, whoever that player is, they must be on the field and a contributor.
Key contributor.
And a key contributor, because you can't have us have these picks, and then we don't see any production, and it's maybe, and it's a year away. We'll buy in on the quarterback because we've been burned, and we certainly went through it this year by putting Kaiser out there way before he was ready. But that next pick, if it's at 4 or it's at 6 or at 12 or wherever it is, that guy's got to play, and he's got to be really good. Can't be like Justin Gilbert.
Or Cam Irving.
Or Danny Shelton.
Or Danny Shelton. Or even, Jimmy, Corey Coleman. He's got it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Can't even be close to Corey Coleman.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing. Last year, and I'm not, we ended up with 3 picks in the first round. And there's nothing you can do about Garrett because he got hurt with the high ankle sprain. But we had to wait for him to come in, 6 games or so before he played, okay? And then, he was sore. I mean, he was sore the whole year. And he was the number 1 overall pick, and believe me, I think healthy, he's going to be a tremendous player. But Njoku didn't give you a great year.
No, neither did Peppers.
And Peppers didn't give you a great year at all. So you gotta get players. That's why you gotta be careful. If you keep moving around too much, that you forget to pick.
Right. You've got to get impact players. That's the whole point of having high draft picks. You've got to get impact players. That's your lesson of the night. All right. Jimmy, we'll see you back here tomorrow. All right. Hope you enjoyed the Seabiscuit edition of the Donovan Live postgame show. For David Herberton, for Jim Donovan, I'm Dave DiNatale. For Red Collar, have a good night, everyone.